All right, guys, we are back live again with Carl Fulli right here with Epidemic, but especially Bleeding Edge, his new project. I got to tell you, Carl, you've been such a great friend to be patient with me tonight. I've had some internet issues here at the house, and really just thank you for your patience.
Yeah, no worries. Technology's great when it works.
Talk. We started nipping the ice right here and chipping the ice, and I mean that as somewhat of a pun because we got Frostbite coming out tomorrow, and we talked about the first song called "Killing Mine."
Yeah,
it's a 4-song EP. Tell me about the next 3 songs real quick.
Yeah, well, the next song is the title track, "The Devil's Door," and it's basically about a person who's, been a pretty greedy and selfish, jerk their entire lives. They kind of realize that it starts to bite them in the ass as they get older, and then they come to a point where they accept it, right? and they know they're in for it. So that's essentially what the song's about there. They know they're going to go to hell, and it's it's not a good thing for them. But then the third song, of course, is Frostbite, and that's based on I was watching 60 Minutes. This is like 20 years ago. And I was watching about this world-renowned mountain climber who ended up dying on the side of a mountain.
Oh shit!
And they were interviewing his wife. He had of course passed on, and they were interviewing his wife, and she was talking about how they had just had a kid. The kid was still an infant, and he called her with his satellite phone, basically to say goodbye because he knew he wasn't going to survive the night.
Yeah.
And so the song is based on that interview and how, horrific that was. Die on the side of a mountain, due to exposure. So that's what Frostbite is about. And then the last song is called Cold Dead Hands. And
Cold Dead Hand.
Yeah. And that's basically about the government getting in your life, telling you what to do, yet having the rules for thee and not for me mantra, and spewing all the lies that they do, and that's been the way it's been, forever. I mean, it doesn't matter, Republican or Democrat, they're all full of it. They all lie. It's just to what extent. And it seems that, in more recent times, it's been pretty brazen. And so. That's essentially what that song is about, and it's about fighting back against the establishment and then the elitism.
I like that. And there's so much of that going on. Politically, there's been so much shit going on within the past, 15 some odd years, give or take. And it is what it is. But that's one thing that us as metalheads and as lyricists, we tend to pull from, because it's in our everyday lives. It's affecting our fucking world, our neighborhoods, our community, and our family. So yeah, man, I always like songs that have some sort of political reference to it. I always like that about Megadeth, because Megadeth was one of those bands that always kind of incorporated political issues and what they had going on. And to me, I think that's kind of just being kind of staying current, being aware what's going on. And addressing that in a song like that just kind of just shows how much of an influence our world around us has an impact on us.
And I've never been really a political guy in the sense that, I like to talk about politics. Like when I go see a show, I don't want to hear the singer go off on their political beliefs. It's like, I don't give a shit about your political beliefs. Whether you agree with me or not, I want you to play your music. Shut up and play. That's all I care about. If I wanted, to go hear that, I'd go see some band that's all about. I'd go see Rage Against the Machine or something, but I don't need to do that. All right. So, it's that kind of thing that I'm not into. I mean, I like songs about that, like Peace Cells, you're referencing Megadeth, things like that. Those are cool songs and all that. But and I love those kinds of songs, and it's great when there's some interesting lyrics that go along with it. But yeah, being political, people ranting about their politics, it's like, shut up.
Exactly.
Let's focus on the music and the energy and the fun and everything that brings.
Yes.
That's why I'm at a show, is to have a good time, and not worry about that kind of crap.
Right. So thinking about what I'm expecting tomorrow, or within maybe the next couple hours here in Central
We'll
Time.
see. We'll see.
Yeah.
You know,
Uh,
with the digital distributors, I'm just wondering, man, because their level of customer service is lacking. And so I did
yeah.
put out a post today saying, hey, if you don't find it on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you get you do your streaming, if you don't find it there, you know, you're gonna at least be able to see it on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
Great. Fuck yes.
So
And
so
those are the most popular things that we're going to get a hold of.
yeah, and I'm going to stay up till midnight, and I'm going to post it all up at midnight for the Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, just so it's there, and that if anybody wakes up in the morning, at least they know they can do that. The people that are interested.
And then even tomorrow, you can start pre-ordering the EP as well. Is that right?
Yeah, on Bandcamp, you can pre-order the CD, and with that, you get Frostbite. So you can hear it through that way as well. So I suggest when you do listen to it, go somewhere where you can blast it, play it loud. We've got really good old school sounding guitars. It was very cool because, you know, not having been in a recording studio and being involved with mixes and things like that for as long as I have, this was almost in some ways it was like starting over in a way, but it was familiar. So it wasn't like riding a bike per se, but it was kind of like riding a bike in a way. But the cool part is we went for an old school sound. Like a lot of guys, you know, a lot of bands want to use plugins, you know, and the tones that those provide, and those are great for the bands that do it. I mean, I hear there's some bands that don't even bring, you know, their amps out. They're using all plugins and computers and stuff, which is cool and makes sense for the logistics of touring. But we wanted it that old school feel. So the idea was to get that really old school vibe, but utilizing, you know, modern technology to give it a little bit of more of that modern edge. And
regardless,
so this I'm hoping that people come away with this and go, man, this is really old school. This sounds old school, but yet it's got the impact, you know, of today's technology. So it doesn't sound flat. You know, it's definitely fat sounding, and I think it's pretty damn heavy, and I'm pretty proud of it. And you know, everybody says that kind of thing. But, you know, I'm very, very happy with how this turned out because Juan did some reamping for us, and it sounds tight. It sounds real tight.
Hey, well, I just think you guys are all professionals, and y'all are lifers in the metal business. So you know it sounds good. And so you got me. If you're giving me the okay, then I know it's going to be fucking time to fucking rage on these tracks.
Yeah, well, I think if you like Epidemic, anybody who liked Epidemic, I believe will like this for sure.
Fuck yes.
You know, and if you don't, that's cool too. I mean, you know, it is what it is. My goal in doing this was just getting it out. And if people dig it, that's icing on the cake because I record music because I enjoy it. And I want to record something that I can enjoy listening to as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think like if you're making music and you don't even like to hear your own music, what are you doing it for? You know, that's just my opinion, you know? You know, you got these actors who act in their films and they never watch their own films. And I kind of understand that, but this is a little bit different because, you know, my everyday life, I'm not going around going, you know, like, hey, you know, that kind of stuff. I'm not doing that. Right. So it's almost like I'm listening to somebody else. I'm not even listening to myself, if you will, when all is said and done. So, but yeah, if you like Epidemic, I think anybody who ever liked Epidemic, at least the albums, because I mean, this is clearly different than our demos. And, you know, in the sense that, you know, how heavy it is and my vocal style from the demo days. But it's still that vibe it's all still there.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. I can't wait to hear it. You know, like you said, 1201, either way, if you just go to Bleeding Edge on Facebook, you're going to be able to catch the track right there. And
Bleeding Edge Metal, yep.
Is that going to have the video lyrics or lyric video, should I say?
It's a lyric video, so you'll see all the lyrics in there.
Awesome. Hell yes.
Yeah.
Well, I've kept you on here for about an hour, so
yeah, but we only got about 30 minutes of talk time here with the technical difficulties.
I know, right? Exactly. So,
but I know it's getting late for you.
You still got some time? Can we still chat for a little bit longer?
Yeah. No worries. I'm good.
Good. Excellent. Well, you know what I also wanted to talk about was your background, man. Tell me about who got you inspired to start being a singer and get your own band going. Was there a person or an event that got you fired up?
It kind of happened by accident, frankly. Bobby, who was the second drummer of Epidemic, was in a local band in Mountain View called Punisher. And when we were in high school. And gosh, he was a freshman in high school. I was a junior, and our mutual friends, started the band. There was a guy named Dave on vocals and a guy named Eric on guitar. Long story short, they went through a couple, like another guitar player and a bass player or two. I think they ended up having like 3 different bass players, 2 different guitar players. And then I was friends with them, so I hung out with them when they practiced. Like they'd practice after school. So we'd go home from school and they'd practice in Bobby's parents' garage. It's the typical story, like every kid,
Right.
And it was a lot of fun just hanging out. And they were doing their covers, they did like, Another Lesson in Violence by Exodus. And I think they did Come to the Sabbath, Merciful Fate, those kinds of things. And so I think they even did Motor Breath as well, I want to think. So they did a lot of stuff. Then they started writing their own things, and they played a party. And the bass player at the time was friends with a guy named Jeff, who was the drummer of Epidemic, and Epidemic had just formed. And so Eric, the guitar player at the time for Punisher, he and I wrote a joke song called DCS, which actually ended up appearing on Epidemic's third demo. Yeah, exactly.
Yep. That's the one where it's a cheeseburger.
No, that's Thigh Rubbage from Demo 89.
Oh, my bad.
That's Thigh Rubbage. Yeah,
that's a good one too.
That's
a fucking good. I love when thrash can be kind of funny. That kind of SOD kind of fun. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and that song, that there were no lyrics written for that except for the chorus. Everything else, it was one take.
Okay, hey,
it was one take. Yeah, it was one take. So that definitely is the epitome of spontaneity. But anyway, so after they finished their set, we did that song for fun.
Badass.
And before I know it, like a week later, Jeff, was it Jeff or no? It was the bass player Boss, who was friends with Jeff. I think it was him. They said, "Yeah, the Epidemic wants you to try out for their band."
Yeah,
I was like, "Really?" Yeah, they want you to try out for vocals. I was like, "Okay." And so I went over there, tried out, and I remember at the time they go, "Okay, you're in the band, but it's temporary. It's not. We're going to do it on a trial basis." And I was like, "Okay, whatever." This is cool. Yeah, I'm having fun. Whatever. So then, I think it was a week later, Jeff came. We were having a band practice, and Jeff came in and he goes, "Oh, by the way, I entered us in a Battle of the Bands competition at the Mountain View Theater." And I was like, "Shit, holy shit!" I've only been doing this a week. I think I had like 2 rehearsals at that point. I was on my 3rd one. So then we were like, "Oh shit, we really got to get this together. We got to get a set. We got to get going." Luckily, they had already had some, originals. And one of the songs they let me write the lyrics. They gave me the title and said, "Write the lyrics." So I did. And in the Battle of the Bands happened over 2 nights. The first night was everybody plays, and then they were going to select. I can't remember exactly how many bands were there. But because again, it's been 8 years, something like that.
Yeah.
I was a senior in high school at the time. And so then the next night, it was like, I think the final 4 bands that they picked to go to the finals. And so, we were just happy to go up and actually perform and do it. And when we made the finals, we were like, "Oh, wow, that's cool."
Yeah.
And then the finals came around and we played and we were announced as the winner. And I remember at that point, our guitar player guy was like, "You're in the band permanent now." And so that was pretty cool. But winning that allowed us to open up for Death Angel. So that was our first, real club show, was opening for Death Angel at the Mountain View Theater. And because of all of that, I developed that relationship with Chuck because I lived so close to the venue. Because I was in Mountain View, all the other guys were in Palo Alto, and so then, of course, we played with, Slayer and Exodus, the Mountain View. We played with Verbal Abuse, DRI, obviously Death Angel. I can't think of all the shows that we played, but we pretty much played there like every month we played a show there. And then we started branching out, started play like the Stone in San Francisco and the Omni in Oakland. And then a lot of the little places, like there was a pizza joint in Redwood City called Pony Express Pizza that, you know, a lot of people played. And that place got crazy because they didn't really have much of a stage. I think the stage was 1 foot off the ground, if they even had a stage. And people would just go nuts inside the pizza parlor. It was pretty hilarious.
Fuck yeah.
And various places like that. So yeah, I really got into it by accident, but I always was interested, you know, and as soon as I joined the band, I was very lucky in the fact that the guys, you know, welcomed me with open arms. They were very much open to my ideas, even though I didn't play instrument, and I still don't. And so I started off by writing some lyrics. Yeah. And then I kind of started getting some riffs and things in my head and kind of figured out how to, you know, what notes they were on the guitar and how to play it very, very sloppily, or on a bass, real easy, you know, here's yeah. And then they would play it right. Like if there was any kind of like syncopated stuff, or say, play this muted or play that open, you know, those kinds of things. Pardon me. And so I was very, very lucky that they were open to me and my ideas, and allowed me to contribute to the band. And everybody was free to contribute, and we just used what we all honestly thought was the best. And that was one thing that was really cool about that, is that anybody's ideas, it was like, hey, if we like it, we'll use it. You know, if we don't like it, we'll say it. But if we like it, we'll use it. And so I was always, you know, coming up with things here and there. And I would come up with just a riff, or I would come up with, you know, just maybe, you know, 4 or 5 lines of lyrics or something like that. And then Eric, the guitar player for Epidemic, who really was the primary songwriter of the band, he probably wrote somewhere between 40 and 50% of all the material. And then Mark and I were the next biggest contributors at about 20 to 25% each musically. Yeah. And then, so I'd say, Mark and I were about 25%. Eric was about 45%. And then the other 2 guys were about 5%. And so, he would just take stuff. Like Mark would just always have riffs, and he'd play like when we were at practice, just fucking around, that kind of thing. And then Eric would just take those things, and he was very much a thinker, very much, you know, into like, you know, orchestrating his songs. And he would come to practice. I got a beginning of a song here. I got about half a song here, and he'd play it for us, and he'd go, "Oh, by the way, I used your riff here." So, you know, so that was kind of cool, because you're like, you come into practice, Eric's got a song, and he's got something of yours that he incorporated into it. So it was really cool. And that was one of the things that was for me, I mean, aside from playing live and those really killer shows that we got to play, because I mean, we got to play with everybody at the time that was really heavy. I mean, we got to play with Sepultura, you know, when Beneath the Remains came out. We got to open for them. We opened for Death on Spiritual Healing. You know, so we opened for Slayer in '88 for South of Heaven. We opened up for Slayer again in '92 when Bosstoff joined the band. You know, we played with played with Exodus, you know, at the Mount View Theater. We played with them again at the Omni. You know, so we got to open up for a lot of bands. We played, you know, with Violence. You know, that's another thing at the Mount View Theater. We opened up for Testament. You know, so I mean, we got to play with everyone. That was like, you know, all the heavy hitters. Well, yeah, and then we opened up for when Morbid Angel, Entombed, and Unleashed came to town. Yeah, we got to open for them, which was a great fucking show. That was, you know, I think Entombed and Unleashed, those were their first U.S. tours. So
Altars of Madness for Morbid Angel.
No, that was I believe that was Blessed Are the Sick. Yeah.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah. It was. Yeah, that was a great show, man. That was really, really cool. Really, really cool. So yeah,
we just get inspired by some of that death metal, especially as it was going around. Definitely, absolutely. Man. I definitely got hugely inspired by everything coming out of Florida. You know,
well, yeah, because
Obituary being one of my favorites, because I just love the drumming of John Tardy, and you know, the way it was always so tight with Trevor and what's the shorter guy's name?
You're talking about Alan West, the other guitar player?
Yes. Those two together with John, they always had that before Lamb of God came and really kind of did their kind of mix with that kind of same kind of drum beat.
Yeah.
And it really set them apart. You know, D-Side, they're sick. They're fucking sick bastards, and they're fucking heavy as fuck. Cannibal is you know, you got all these guys that created their own death metal. Massacre, Death, of course, Death being one of the ones that kind of got that unleashed kind of beat going on,
Mm-hmm.
where it's kind of like punk and hardcore in a way, but made it good to be death metal, and they made it all right to incorporate those kind of riffs like that, and then the drumming that went along. It was just so addicting. From being a thrash metal fanatic that I was, to hearing death metal, it's like that was the next level, because we always wanted something a little heavier.
Oh yeah, we were always
You
looking
know
for
what
the
I mean?
next extreme thing, the
Metallica
next.
to Slayer to Sepultura, etc., etc.
Yeah,
And death metal kind of was just that niche that was at the right place at the right time. But it was also on the flip side of grunge. So grunge was in the big popular eye of the whole world. But death metal was something that I loved being a part of, something that you guys were a part of in
yeah,
the big scene going around on tour. But we couldn't get fucking love, man. And the only band that
yeah,
really survived all that was Cannibal.
yeah, yeah. I mean, well,
Just
they're
to an
still.
extent, because I mean they're kind of like that
Well,
that that
I think what they've done is they've maintained a level of success that has been pretty consistent,
yeah,
and not a
yeah,
lot of bands can say that. I mean, Suffocation is still around, Malevolent
yes,
Creation is still around, and we got to do it.
yeah.
We did a 2-week East Coast tour in late '92 with Malevolent Creation and Suffocation,
Oh, that was sick.
and
Fuck yeah,
it was, and I got a good story about that. Uh,
share it with me.
but before I say it, I just want to say
Okay,
that, like, watching Mike Smith from
yeah.
Suffocation on
Fuck.
drums every night was a pleasure, because that
Oh,
dude
yes,
is inhuman. I mean, he is superhuman. The way he plays. I
right.
mean, a lot of guys blast, a lot of guys just, but he was doing stuff at that time that nobody else was doing. He was doing that
Yes,
total gunfire thing where he was hitting the snare and the bass drum at the exact same time, not alternating, but at the
right.
exact same time. Nobody else was doing that shit and doing it that fast. That what I mean, I remember Tommy Lee was saying, like, "Oh, my drums sound like gunfire on like Girls, Girls, Girls." I'm like, that's hilarious. Mike Smith was doing real gunfire, and that guy was
Yes.
awesome, and a super cool dude. But we were in, I want to say it was in Quebec, up in Canada,
Yeah.
and it wasn't Montreal. It was the city east of Montreal. I can't remember the name of it now off the top. I used to know it, and I can't remember the name of it. But we got there late because we got held up at customs. So Suffocation went on before us, right? And then
Yeah.
when we were supposed to go on, so they could start the show, we get there, and then while they're playing, and then we go on, and then Malevolent goes on. So Phil Fasciana, from
Yeah.
guitar player for Malevolent, he comes walking back, and he's like, and he's got that accent from Buffalo, because he's from Buffalo, and Phil's super cool, but he's like, "Yo, man, my fucking guitar is out of tune. Can you guys tune it up for me?" Right? And so Doug Cerrito from Suffocation and Guy, our guitar player, they're like, "Oh yeah, yeah." Doug's like, "I'll tune it." He's like, "You got a tuner?" And Guy's like, "Yeah, yeah, I got it." So meanwhile, these guys are high. They had just, been smoking dope. They were totally buzzed.
Yeah.
Bloodshot eyes, just like they were like Spicoli, right? At that point.
Uh-huh.
And it was hilarious as hell now when I look back at it, because here you got, like, I think Doug was like on the guitar, actually tuning it. Guy was holding the tuner going, "You're sharp. Yeah, no, you're flat. No, wait, down, no, sharp, flat. Yeah, there you go." Right. And they're taking, and they tune this guitar. Phil comes back in between the next song, and they go, "Here you go, Phil. You're good to go." They go out and they play the next song. Phil comes storming in between the next song, and he goes, "What the fuck did you do to my guitar? It's out of tune. It's a joke." And he was beat red because he'd been playing. It was hot, and he was pissed. And we all just were like, Guy and Doug were like, just completely baked out of their mind. And
Yeah.
and we all just started laughing our ass off. It was the funniest thing ever. He was like, "You
Yeah.
motherfuckers, the fuck did you do to my guitar?" That kind of thing. So yeah, that was a hilarious story. And
Very
Malevolent, man,
cool.
those guys, those guys were they were lifers, man. Those guys were dedicated. They decided in December to go on tour in a Ford Ranger with 5 people or 6 people.
What? Oh, fuck.
Yeah, they had 6 people. So 2 in the front, 4 in the bed. Luckily, they had a camper shell.
Oh, right, good.
And they had fabricated this ductwork out of cardboard from the center console to pump heat into the bed. So they had the little windows open in the back window, and they built this little ductwork into the back to pump the heat into the back there. And they had a drummer at the time, Crazy Larry. I don't know if you remember, if you knew Crazy Larry Hawk.
Oh shit! Okay.
He that guy was amazing. He came to he went up to Montreal where it was colder than hell, and he had like sweats and a sweatshirt and he was wearing Chuck Taylors, and that's all he brought. He had a hoodie, a zip up hoodie.
Man,
that's all he had. And it was hilarious, man. Those guys were awesome. I could go on and on about that, but I don't want to bore everyone. But yeah, that was great, man. Those were good experiences. I mean, the touring, it was fun, but it was hard too, right?
Yeah,
that's kind of hard. You really get to you got to spend a lot of time with people in confined quarters, right?
Right. So no shit.
You get to know people pretty well, but it was a lot of fun, and got those stories to tell, and it was great fun, because at the end of that tour, we were at some club in Columbus. It might have even been the one where Dimebag was sadly shot at. But that club, it was near, it was getting towards Christmas. It was probably like 5 days before Christmas, maybe. And they had stocked up a bunch of champagne for New Year's.
All right.
And I don't know who got into that fridge, that cooler in the back. But somebody's like, hey, there's champagne here. So we broke into the champagne. And meanwhile, Larry was buying everybody rounds of mudslides.
Oh shit!
This is after the show. Everybody left, and we're all drinking and just getting. And somebody broke into that champagne, so we start drinking a bunch of champagne. And boy, did that piss the owners off. They're like, you guys just drank all our New Year's Eve champagne, you assholes. They're like, get the fuck out of here,
Right?
Yeah. Oh, it was crazy. It was crazy. I mean, Larry was like, we put cigarettes out on Larry's head. And he's like, do it. He was crazy. They called him Crazy Larry for a reason. He was super cool. So yeah, just a lot of crazy debauchery shit that a lot of guys have experienced when they've been on tour. A lot of good fun. So those times were great. Those were really fun, and I valued all of those experiences. I value the time that I was able to collaborate, with the guys in the band, and that's why doing Bleeding Edge has been so satisfying, because it was Scott and I collaborating again. And he was very cool and understood that I really wanted to challenge myself to write these songs by myself, the music and the lyrics. And he was cursing me a lot along the way, getting pissed off at me for stuff that I wrote. Because he was like, wait, you want me to play that? I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, you can do that, right? I'm just writing what I think is cool. And he's like, well, that's not so easy to play. And I was like, oh, sorry about that. And so he'd give me shit about that, but he did it. I knew we could do it. But yeah, it was great to collaborate with him and him helping me out a little bit and giving me his ideas, like I said, on just some arrangement parts. But yeah, and just having a couple little other ideas. But and he even and he told you this, that I had a song and he said you need to rewrite it. And so I went ahead and I revised it. And he goes, just write a new song. This isn't working. And he was right. He was right.
Yeah.
Because I went ahead and I wrote that song, and that song ended up being The Devil's Door. And when I first wrote that song, and Scott actually transcribed it and laid the guitars on it, I was playing in the car for my wife and my daughter. And my daughter goes, I'm glad Scott made you write a new song. Because she liked the song and she thought it was cool.
It more, yes.
Yeah. She's like, yeah. This sounds good. I'm glad he made you do that. So that was
cool.
That was funny.
Yes.
We got a good laugh out of that. And when I told Scott, he laughed at that as well. So this has been a lot of fun. I mean, there's some stress that goes along with being, doing everything yourself. You know what I mean? Writing everything, I mean, granted, he was a huge help in getting all the guys to play. I mean, he got the drum set, that electronic drum set that Lennon played, at his house and recorded it all that way. And then, of course, instrumental in getting Juan, and Juan was very, very cool. And I'm lucky to have a friend like him, and lucky that all the guys were so cool. Can't stress enough how cool they all were and how they all just did a great job. I mean, a really good job. And I'm the kind of guy, like, I'm not going to say that I think somebody did a good job if they didn't. I just wouldn't mention it. So
yes.
They all did wonderful. Because the nice thing is, like, Lennon's got his style, and his style just fits perfectly on this, because I don't know, I think Lennon's only in his late 30s, so he wasn't around for that that early scene, but he's like an old head for a younger guy, if you know what I'm saying.
Right.
And then Kevy, again, probably like Kevy and Lennon and Costa, I think they're all in their mid 30s or so, somewhere around there. And all of them just super cool, and they know they've got their own styles, and it all works well, because if you hear Kevy, he's kind of got that Marty Friedman kind of feel about his playing, which I really like. He's got a super cool tone. And then Costa, he's got this tone that really does remind me a little bit of like he could step into Exodus and play in Exodus if he wanted to.
Ooh, badass.
Because his leads he's kind of got a bit of that style and that tone, and he, again, younger guy, but an old head, if you will.
Yeah.
And not only that, but I mean, the guy's got some dexterity, man. I mean, his solos are ripping. And then, get Scott actually doing a couple solos in here.
Scott soloing. How about that?
Which,
right?
Exactly. Because Scott never really wanted to solo. It's not like he couldn't. I mean, he could sit there and he could have like practiced soloing all day long, if he wanted, and tore it up, done all of that. But he was more of a songwriter, right?
Yes.
Scott's more of a songwriter, a producer guy, thinking about the big picture, that kind of thing, making sure shit sounds good, sounds heavy, and is how it's supposed to be. So it's all, I've been real fortunate to be able to get this done, because the thing I said too is, I said, this might be the last thing I ever do, right? But if this is, like I said, I've already achieved success in my head. I got it done. Yeah. I set a goal for myself to write some really good songs that I could be proud of, get it recorded, get it done, release it, and that's it. If people dig it, that's icing on the cake. That means that and that'll be great. And if I can make enough money to even maybe think of, recoup some of my money, I've always said, and I laughed about this with a buddy of mine, I said, if I end up at zero, I'll have won, because right now, I'm in the red.
Right.
I'm not even talking about going into the black. I'm talking about if I could get to zero, I would be cool from a money standpoint, because I'm in the red right now. And that was one thing too, is just the eye opener of like how much all this stuff costs, even with, all the guys were very cool and did things, for much less than what they probably normally would have. So it was very helpful. And I'm very thankful that they all, were willing and wanted to do this project. So, and I owe them, and I owe Scott for bringing them on board. And so I wanted to personally thank, everyone, and including Juan, because, he mixed this really nice and he mastered it very well. And it sounds really good. And I'm very proud of it. So I hope everybody else thinks it as well.
There's so much. I'm really excited, because that's what I love. I love thrash. I love Bay Area thrash, and I love death metal. So we get some Bay Area thrash death metal coming out of Bleeding Edge. I'm gonna be fucking cranking that, definitely. And I'm not,
I hope you do.
Here in Corpus, it's only 10:37, man. I don't go to bed before midnight, should I say, 1:00 in the morning. So I'm gonna be looking forward to fucking staying up at midnight and fucking cranking that bad boy up. Fuck yes.
Well, I was saying midnight Pacific. That'd be 2 your time. But you know what?
I'll my time.
Yeah. You know what I'll do?
Okay, you're right. So it's midnight your time. Heard.
I'll put the videos up at 11:00 my time.
Awesome. All right.
I'll do that, because that's that's already past midnight your time, East Coast.
Time, yeah.
So
great.
That's midnight Mountain time too. So why not?
Yes.
I'll go for it. So I hope that the digital distributor gets gets it out tomorrow, and then I'm hoping that they release the digital stuff like they're supposed to on February 28th. I don't think that should be an issue, but this is a DIY thing, and this is the other thing about being all on my shoulders is learning all of this stuff, like learning about having to publish your songs, learning about ISRCs, right?
Yes, dude.
If you're familiar with those, learning about this whole distribution network digitally and how all of that works. I mean, because you can't just go to Spotify and go, I want to release a song. You have to go through these distributors and do it that way.
Yes.
And then researching, manufacturers for CDs to make sure I can get a good deal on manufacturing those. How I'm going to sell them, how Bandcamp works and all that. So if I make mistakes or something's kind of goofy along the way regarding, the distribution or things like that, I apologize in advance. I hope everything goes smoothly. I've tried to follow the instructions for all of these, all of this stuff, and hopefully it'll all work out fine.
Yes, fuck yeah. I have faith that things are going to work out fine. Hell yeah.
Right on, man. I got to say, you're a positive guy, and I appreciate that.
Yes, then hell yeah. Thank you, Scott. Hell yeah. And hopefully, Scott, you may be watching. I wouldn't be surprised. And if you are watching, Scott, put some horns up in the comment section or something. Let me know who's in there. And I see some other people are watching the interview too. You got any questions for Carl? Please throw them in. Any comments? Please throw them in. PR Garza, thanks for checking out the show again tonight. James Warrior was in the house earlier. Thanks for tuning in again, guys. Make sure you're ready to catch some Bleeding Edge coming out midnight Pacific time, maybe 11 o'clock Pacific time. All right. For some of us that are already passing the midnight hour, but go to the Bleeding Edge site on Facebook or the Instagram and start jamming these tunes. They're going to be fucking bashing. I can't wait. But I want to take it back a little bit before I wrap things up. Mm-hmm. Your history right there, like you mentioned, you played with Slayer, Exodus, Violence, everybody that was rocking your scene. You were in the scene with them, creating all these fantastic shows, building up what the Bay Area thrash scene is famous for, making history of what it is. Was there a favorite show that you got to do with any, maybe, what was your favorite show that you did with any one of those big names?
I got to say, the two shows that stick out to me was, and they were both at the Omni in Oakland. And the Omni in Oakland was an awesome club because they had a nice big floor,
cool,
right? with a good sized stage. And then the bar, you could walk into the bar, and the bar was separate from the floor. So that way, if you wanted to go out and have a drink, maybe there was a band that you'd seen a million times or weren't so interested in, whatever. You could go out into the bar, or if you need to talk to somebody just for whatever reason. Hey, I got to talk to you right now. You could just go into the bar. And the bar was good size too. So it was a great venue to go to and see shows. But when we played with Death, that place was packed. And the crowd response was just phenomenal. Was just absolutely phenomenal. Matter of fact, there's
you said that was Spiritual Healing?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Yeah. Fuck yes.
Yeah, and that show was awesome. I mean, the crowd went nuts, absolutely nuts. I've got pictures from that gig, thankfully. And then the other one, and I got to say, I want to say that was 1990, like March of 1990. But prior to that, in like September or maybe I don't know, somewhere in the fall, like October-ish, maybe even November, when we played with Sepultura when Beneath the Remains came out. Yeah. And that was really great because, again, the crowd was absolutely insane, super energetic. I mean, the thrashing, the pit was just going like mad. Yeah. The cool part was I got to sit and watch Sepultura do their sound check, and I mean, even in sound check, those guys, they were ripping it. I mean, watching Igor play, I mean, it was great. I mean, I was like, okay. I mean, I loved the album anyways, and I'd liked Schizophrenia, before that.
Yes.
And I liked Schizophrenia, but when Beneath the Remains came, I was like, okay, these guys are really on the money now.
Fuck yeah.
Excuse me. And they, I mean, that sound check was amazing. And like I said, Igor just doing those drums, like they because they did Inner Self.
Yes.
And
love it.
eager with those double bass drums at the beginning, all of that.
Yeah.
And it was just heavy as hell. I mean, and that's the thing too is, when you hear Beneath the Remains, you hear that guitar tone. That was how they sounded live. Now it was more refined, like everything is, but man, you really got that. It was just like listening to the album, just more raw. I mean, just more energetic and in your face. It was awesome. So those two shows were fantastic. And of course, the third one would be Slayer at the Mountain View Theater, because it was packed. It was it was amazing. I mean, that show was crazy. I had some gal was pulling on my mic cord. This is in the middle of a song. I'm in the middle of a song. I'm doing my thing. And this gal starts pulling on my, and then she grabs me by the leg as she's pulling that, and then she grabs my arm, pulls me down, and plants one on me.
What the?
In the middle of the song, and then she grabs the mic, and she goes "fuck that," like that, and I was like, "Whoa!" I grabbed the mic from her again. I mean, this woman shoved her tongue down my throat. It was crazy, and I was stunned. Right. I remember I looked, and it was funny because Bobby was not yet in our band at that point. He was about a month or two from being in our band, but he was there, and he was I think he was on stage, and I looked back over at him, and I was like, and he was like, and it was funny. It was funny, but the show was just amazing. I mean, Slayer absolutely crushed it, as they always did. And, and it's so funny because I hear people talking about how awesome Slayer was in the last 10 or 15 years. And and no doubt they are, right? They were, right?
Fuck yes, but
did you see him with Lombardo on Rain and Blood?
Yes.
You didn't? Well, you did, and so you know how fucking awesome that was.
Yes. Well, hold on. I gotta correct. I did see him on Rain and Blood, but it was after they booted Lombardo and they had homeboy from Whiplash,
Tony Scaglione.
Yes, Scaglione. Yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Now, see, that's rare.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you're the first person I know that's seen him with them. So that I've met personally. So
hey, it made a big deal to us. We're like, what do you mean no Dave Lombardo? What the fuck? What the fuck? And half of the crowd still thought it was Dave. Half of us knew it because there was no internet back then. Half of us knew by one way or another. Maybe it got funneled down from a cousin from San Antonio or from Houston. We got some word down here in Corpus that, hey, it's not Dave Lombardo back there. And actually, it wasn't until the day after where we had some of our friends that went backstage, met the band. They're like, nah, Dave wasn't there. It was a guy from Whiplash, dude. He's fucking cool. And so they kind of straightened it all out.
Yeah.
But yes, Rain and Blood, that was the shit. And so that just built up the fucking, for South of Heaven. Oh my God. Slayer was at they were the gods.
Oh yeah. Well, Rain and Blood was just so awesome because they played the Stone in San Francisco. And I want to say the Stone held like 400 or 500 people, something like that. Maybe 6. I can't remember exactly how many, but it was a smaller club, not super small, but small. Like the Omni was bigger and held more people by far. But again, the place was packed. The show was absolutely amazing. Overkill opened for them. That was then, I want to say it may have been Feel the Fire tour, or maybe it was their first album. It may have been their first album. Or it was either Feel the Fire or Taking Over.
Okay.
I can't remember which one it was at the time. It may have been Taking Over. But the cool part is back then, everybody, hung out, that kind of thing, right? And Blitz came outside and was talking to everybody and was just cool as hell. Rat Skates was out there talking. He was cool. Yes. Ended up meeting Lars Ulrich. I got a picture with him at that show. And then got to meet the guys very briefly because a friend of mine has he took a picture of Slayer backstage. This was like a couple years prior, like during like Hell Awaits or Show No Mercy era.
Yes.
And he got it blown up to poster size. So imagine an actual picture. You remember, how thick a photo was back then, right? Yes. But it was the size of a poster.
Yeah.
Right? Like 24 by 36. And it was photo paper still. It wasn't shit. Yeah, it was that big.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he took it and he got everybody to sign it, And so he got to meet Dave and Jeff and Kerry came out, and you know, I know Tom said it, but they were leaving. But Dave was the one who actually spoke with us a little bit and was, you know, and there was some banter between him and Lars because Lars was right there. You know, so that was that back then. It was cool because everybody would show up if they were around. You know,
Yeah.
like I went and saw Wendy O. Williams at the Stone too. Hetfield was there with Jim Martin from Faith No More, just hanging out. Those were the days, right? When people just hung out and had a good time. You know.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm thinking about Wendy O. Williams. Now we're talking. I need to get of course, she's from Plasmatics. Now, Plasmatic. Did you catch the Plasmatic show when they were on? What was that? Girl School and Iron Maiden, Number of the Beast tour? Did you catch any of that?
No, that was a little bit before my time because I first got into metal. I was first properly. Let me put it this way: I have 4 older sisters, and I'm the youngest.
All right.
And my oldest sister's almost 10 years older than me. She graduated 10 years before I did. And every other sister is like a year to 15 months. You know, there were 4 girls. And then there's a 6-year gap, and I came along. So when I was growing up, all I ever heard was pop music, which was a lot of disco at the time, and then country, because that's what my mom liked. Right? Okay.
Yeah.
So in 82, I became friends with this kid who had lived in Germany. And I was living in Iowa at the time. I was born in Iowa, and I lived in Iowa till I was 12, like 12 and a half, and we moved to Mountain View in California. But this kid, I became friends with him about 6 months before I moved, and he introduced me to Maiden and Saxon. And so he played me Wheels of Steel, and he played me Number of the Beast, and I was blown away. Absolutely blown away. I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. This is something else.
Yeah.
And so then when we moved out here, I started, you know, getting albums. Like I bought Def Leppard and Quiet Riot and shit like that.
Fuck yeah.
And then I got with my buddies, and when I made a couple friends here, and they were into AC/DC, and we were just all about AC/DC and Ozzy and Sabbath, you know, Maiden, you know, all of them at the time. You know, Motley Crue had just kind of become a thing, you know, like more well known. With Shout at the Devil and Wasp and all of that. And then, you know, so that's kind of how I got into it, you know, and then it was just like if I could find something heavier, I was into it. So, you know, as soon as I heard Ride the Lightning, because I heard Ride the Lightning and Show No Mercy on the same day I was introduced to thrash.
Oh, shit.
My buddy brought over Ride the Lightning, and then we walked over to Tower Records.
Yeah.
And he bought Show No Mercy. I bought Kill 'Em All and Ride the Lightning, and my other buddy bought Bonded by Blood. And
fuck.
So I was introduced to all of those, like basically at the same time. And for me, it was like, it's all over. Forget all that other stuff.
Yeah. That's right. It's all over.
Yeah, it's all over.
Matters.
And so then it was just like, oh, Possessed, you know. And then of course all the other bands that were out at the time, you know, like Anthrax and Megadeth and all of that. It was like, and then of course, you know, you get into the German thrash, and it's like Creator, Destruction, and Sodom. And when I heard Creator, I was like, all right, I heard Pleasure to Kill. And I heard Ripping Corpse, and I thought, okay, all right, this is it, man, this is it. I mean, it just kept getting heavier and faster, and it was great, man. I was in heaven. It seemed like, from the time I was introduced to like thrash and extreme metal, it seemed like it was a solid almost 10 years of just really cool stuff just coming out, and the evolution, you know, from thrash into death and to these other things. And it just kind of was evolving, because, you know, when you get into the death metal thing, you know, like with Death themselves, because Death, you know, they were death metal, but they were thrashy too, right?
Fuck yes.
So
yeah,
that, and but you get into like, you know, the Morbid Angels and the Obituaries, and then of course Carcass, right?
Oh, I mean, yeah.
You're like, and then
the overseas fuckers, Napalm Death,
and Napalm Death, and Bolt Thrower,
yeah,
and then the whole Swedish scene with Entombed and Unleashed, and Carnage. Prior to that, you know,
Carnage,
and everything that was happening there, you know, all the bands out of there, Grave, you know, at that time. I mean, it was just like, wow, it just seems like a little
going up.
Yeah, because you had like, you know, you had the Bay Area scene, you had some of the LA bands like Dark Angel and Slayer, and, you know, a lot of those bands down there, right? And Megadeth was basically an LA band. right? So, and then of course, you got the New York stuff, you had Anthrax, and then you had the Florida wave of death metal and all of that. I mean, it was wonderful, man. It was absolutely a wonderful time. I'm glad I was born when I was born, and I got to experience, living in the Bay Area in the 80s.
In the heart
scene. Yeah, it was great. I mean, I wasn't around to see some of those classic shows in like 83, 84, early 85, but once I started going and like late 85, it was all over for me, man.
Fuck yeah. What was your first concert?
Believe it or not, it was Day on the Green 85.
Oh shit.
It was
the famous Day on the Green 85. Was
Scorpion.
that Metallica's?
Yeah, but it was Scorpions, Rat, Y&T, Metallica, Rising Force, Yngwie.
Rising Force opened for Metallica. Okay.
And then the first band was a band called Victory, which
Victory?
nobody knew who Victory. Yeah, nobody knew who they were. And I still don't know anybody who knows who they are. Okay. But yet they got to play this huge, festival style show in the States. But I came in during Rising Force, and Yngwie was just shredding and then throwing his guitar up in the air and catching it and doing his thing, which was absolutely cool. And then when Metallica started, it was like my buddy and I, we went straight down to the field because it was playing at the Oakland Coliseum where the A's and Raiders played.
Yeah.
And there were 4 distinct pits going during Metallica.
Oh,
and so this was a little new for me, obviously being my first show. I go into a pit and fall flat on my face. Somebody fucking tripped me and I fell flat on my face, and some big dude, because I was 15 at this time. I just turned 15. Dude picks me up and sets me on my feet. And I looked at him. I was like, thanks.
Thanks,
no problem. And so I made my way through, and I was looking for my buddy. I lost my buddy.
Fuck.
So I made my way back to where my brother-in-law was, because he went with us, and we hung out. We watched Metallica, and it was absolutely amazing. Because Phil's still alive, of course.
That was all the Ride the Lightning.
Yep, it was on Ride the Lightning.
Yes.
And it was just amazing, man. It was very cool. And so, and then Y&T came on, and I don't know if you're into Y&T or not, but
I love Y&T. Fuck Dave Meniketti.
Yeah, Dave Meniketti's the man. I mean, he's so solid, so fucking solid. Matter of fact, he's playing right here by my house in April, and I think I'm going to go.
Because go check that out.
That guy's an absolute stud. I mean, he's a great guitar player, great leads, and the guy's got an excellent voice. I mean, he's the man.
Fuck yes.
I mean, and they were doing some heavy shit before there was thrash. They were heavy. They were on the heavier side of things, and so that was really cool. But then Rat came on, and I was like, okay, well, this is now a disappointment. Even though Warren DiMartini's an amazing guitar player, right? And some of those Rat songs aren't so easy to play.
No, they're not. No.
And so I just couldn't deal with sort of the LA, I'm so cool thing. When Metallica was just up there going, fuck yeah, just ripping it up in jeans and their t-shirt. They don't give a shit. They're playing with reckless abandon, so and I think Rat felt that a little bit too, because it was like, Bay Area has not been known as the glam area per se, even though Bay Area had their fair share of glam bands, and some of them were pretty good too, but it was an amazing show. It was really cool. And then my first club show was not long after that. It was English Dogs.
English Dogs? Hell yeah.
Yeah, it was English Dogs.
Wow, that's tight.
And Attitude Adjustment.
Oh, fuck
and there was like 6 bands, but I remember it was English. The bands I remember: English Dogs, Attitude Adjustment, and a very young Sadist.
Sadist? Oh shit!
Yep.
Those are some bad guys right there too.
And so, and I remember, here I was, this metalhead looking kid with with short hair, not like short, like, it was just a normal short haircut. I looked like just your average metalhead, suburban kid. Had some like punk rocker kid, like older guy, when I say older, I was still 15 and he was probably in his early 20s, maybe mid 20s, and he's like trying to intimidate me. And I'm just like, just being a weirdo, but that was a cool show. It was very interesting because, English Dogs, I mean, they're like, they were kind of crossover before people were talking about crossover.
Right. Exactly. They've already hidden that.
They were hardcore with that metallic edge. They had solos and shit. And it was interesting, man. It was very cool. So then I was just kind of like, all right, yeah, I got to go to my shows now. And so then it was all about going shows all the time. I mean, we were going to, there was a period of time where, especially once I joined Epidemic, where if you weren't playing a show every week, you were going to a show at least every week. I mean, every week there was some show, a local show, a national, there was something. You were going to at least one show a week, sometimes 2 and 3 shows a week, like for like a month. I mean, it was that crazy.
Wow.
Like so many bands were coming around, and there were so many, local bands, just because, you had all the guys who, like the Metallicas, and then of course the second wave with the, Metallica and Possessed and Exodus and Testament and Death Angel and Violence and Forbidden and all those bands. And then there are the bands like Us and Wrecking Machine and Chaos and God, I know I'm missing. I mean, Blind Illusion has been around forever.
Blind Illusion,
right?
yes. Forbidden.
Heathen. I mean, geez,
Heathen,
how can I forget
yes.
Heathen? I mean, shit. Because Heathens, their demo, was great. Loved their demo. Their demo was awesome. So yeah, I mean, it's just so many bands. And I know I'm missing some bands. But it was awesome. I mean, it was just, you just get to know people left and right.
Yes.
And most people are really cool. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. It was definitely a great time to be a part of the scene.
Oh man, I tell you, we've both been blessed to be able to, in my opinion, see the best years of metal.
Agreed.
Because sure, Black Sabbath, started all the good. They're the godfathers and got it started. But we were able to really to jump in at a good time where Metallica jumped in. And I think Metallica right there with that Kill 'Em All was a game changer for everybody. Even
Absolutely.
though I think Bonded by Blood is edgier, more it's an angrier, more evil kind of
kick in your face and murder your wife. I mean, nobody was doing stuff, singing about stuff like that then. I mean, they were definitely like taking it one step further,
right.
In that regard.
Fucking Bailoff, man. Yeah.
And in those days, Exodus was. I mean, they still put on a great show.
They were ferocious.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, a lot of those shows back then, like Violence, like you go to a Violence show. I mean, the name alone, Violence. You the pits for Violence shows back in the day were something else, man. I mean, they were something else. People would go off. I mean, because there was a period of time where it was like Testament, Violence, Forbidden. Like that lineup played. I don't know how many times they all played together, like at the Stone or the Omni or wherever. And so, Forbidden would come on and they'd tear it up. Violence would come on and people would go absolutely ape shit. Because they've kind of, they're metal, but they've kind of got, with Sean's vocals, it's kind of got that, little
with Sean,
edge. And then of course Testament comes on and Chuck's, whatever he was doing, just that he always had that little bit of, death metal in him, even before they actually incorporated a lot of that stuff. And he just was a menacing presence on stage, which was really cool.
Presence, yes.
So yeah, all of that was great, and I feel blessed to actually see Possessed, having seen Possessed in I think it was '86, right before they broke up, which was great. So the original guys, I've been lucky to see some of those things. Yeah,
they had stage gear like leather and all that stuff. Possessed.
Yeah, they had some of that. I think Jeff at the time was wearing just a t-shirt, but he wasn't wearing I think he may have had like some armbands and shit, but yeah, no, they were great. They were cool because I absolutely love Seven Churches. I've always loved that album. That album's just heavy as hell.
What was the first album you bought with your own money?
Oh well, it was before I got into metal.
All right, that's cool.
It was Survivor, Eye of the Tiger.
Hey, Rocky. Hey, fucking love Rocky, man. Eye of the Tiger. I don't give a fuck. I work in the food service, and in the morning when people they already tell me, hey, so-and-so called in, you're going to be shorthanded, and this guy's going to be late. I'm like, fuck, I guess it's Fuck Me Friday for Tony. But I need to hear that fucking theme song from Rocky. Gonna fly now, getting strong. That song where he's running up the fucking steps. The first one. Fuck yeah, man. That theme song, it's inspiring to me as a man, as as a singer, and it just that movie changed my life because that
Oh
guy.
yeah, I
Fucking,
think uh, I think that movie changed a lot of people's lives.
yeah, man.
I think Phil Demmel.
We could
I think
relate.
Rocky is like one of his favorite movies ever.
Yeah.
Like he loves Rocky. So yeah, I mean everybody loves Rocky. If you don't like Rocky, you probably don't like yourself. I mean Rocky's awesome, right? It's like
Fuck yes.
here's the funny thing. I always say like if you don't like Mexican food or Italian food, you're either lying or you're not human. Well,
Right? Come
right,
on now.
and it's kind of like
Those
that
two
with Rocky.
cuisines.
You know what I mean? It's like the
Yes.
same thing, So and usually if so I've only met one person that's told me that or two people that have told me they don't like Mexican food. One was a Japanese lady, and I'm like, okay, well, I get
Okay, all
that.
right.
I kind of get that. And the other one is Juan. Juan doesn't like Mexican food.
What? Juan Ortega doesn't like Mexican food. How about that? Okay.
It's not his thing. It's not his thing, I guess. I said the same thing. I'm like, dude,
No shit.
you don't like Mexican? I'm like, that's crazy.
That's crazy, right? Come on.
Like,
why are you so partial? What's up, man? Come on. What happened?
Well, I think, like I told you before we started, my buddy Lewis, when I stayed at his house and his mom made us breakfast, and he was the one who introduced me to real Mexican food. And so I was like, oh my God, it was a new world because, all I had was white boy Mexican, right? And that doesn't count. I mean, it can be good, it can be enjoyable, but it's not the same as like the real deal Mexican.
Yes.
And so, I mean, I would love to. Speaking of like, we got a whole smorgasbord of like metal, right? We got to grow up with that, right? I would like to go to different parts of Mexico and go to the different areas and have the regional cuisine because everybody seems to think that Mexican food's the same. It's just Mexican food, but there's all these different regions. They all do different things, and so I found I try to make my own Mexican food, right? Make it homemade, make it good. Yeah. And I finally found a way to make good homemade refried beans real easy. Using an instant pot, and make my own salsas, pico de gallo. Shit. Yeah, I've even made my own homemade tortillas because
get out of here.
Not corn, but
no, I don't do corn either, but flour. That's saying a lot right there.
Yeah. Shit. Yeah. Oh man, I love it. I love it. And the hotter the better, man.
Yeah. Do you do most of the cooking at home or does your wife?
We kind of split it up.
Okay.
Because we both like to cook. I mean, she has the things that she does very well.
Her favorites.
And my wife is Greek.
Oh, okay.
So she's 100% Greek. Her parents were from Greece. Her first language was Greek.
All right.
So she does some good Greek stuff. She also is she's a master at soup. She makes very good soups. She'll make chicken noodles. She'll make beef barley. She makes a great turkey and wild rice. Ham and split pea, those kinds of things. I mean, the very, very good stuff. But she also makes a great, meat sauce for spaghetti. I'll do stuff like I like smoking ribs. I'll make ribs.
Hey, all right.
I'll make stuff like stroganoff, beef stroganoff. Yes. I make a lot of pasta dishes where I'll take, I'll grill up some chicken. I'll saute onions, garlic, mushrooms, and I'll throw in like olives and artichoke hearts and tomatoes and just mix that together with some penne. It turns out nice. I love doing shit like that. I make a lot of pasta dishes.
Hell, I'll make
shrimp in a white, like a white wine cream sauce. Things like that. Yeah. So we like to cook. We like to do our thing. I like to grill a lot. Grill steaks, grilled chicken, grill your vegetables.
Super Bowl's coming up Sunday after next. Any of your teams playing? You like the Eagles? You like the Chiefs?
No. My team ended the season on a 5-game losing streak.
Oh shit, dude! No.
Yeah, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh fuck.
Yeah. And I knew we were going to lose.
Mike Tomlin. Fuck.
Yeah, I mean, I love Mike, but something's got to change, man.
Something's got to change. I hear you, man. All right. Are you going to be doing some grilling for the Super Bowl regardless, just for the moment?
I might be doing some hot buffalo wings. Might be making buffalo wings.
Yes. Hell yeah. Unfortunately, I might not be able to watch too much of the bowl because my band's got a gig book with another band that's coming down, and we
Nice.
playing Sunday. It's an afternoon matinee, but I love these guys. They're called Life Cycles, and look them up on Spotify. They're called Life Cycles. They're out of San Antonio, but they're the kind of metal I think you would like to.
Right on.
I don't give a fuck. These guys can play on a Monday night. I want to fucking play with these guys. They're super cool, but check them out. I think you're gonna like them. I want to ask you a couple more questions, not too personal, all right? But things that I like, that I think, I think have kind of crossed our paths as being metalheads throughout the year. Do you got a favorite wrestler?
No.
You okay? All right.
If you really want to, I like, being from Iowa.
Okay.
I like collegiate wrestling.
Collegiate wrestling, yeah.
So in Iowa is known
the
as
real deals.
Powerhouse.
Yeah.
Now, we haven't been so much, in the last few years, but we did win a national championship. I think it was in 21, 22.
All right.
But we had a string of like championships from like 1978. I think we won one, and then from like 80 through like the early 2000s, we won something like 15 or 16 championships. We did like 8 in a row one time.
Damn.
So I do enjoy watching collegiate wrestling because there's so much skill involved. And you see a lot of these wrestlers who then turned into MMA. So that's really my thing. But yeah, if I had to talk about like, I do remember the days of the AWA, all-star wrestling.
The old school when you had when Flair was getting started, when you had like I'm thinking
Nick Bockwinkel is the name I remember. And Vern Gagne.
Yeah. Oh shit.
I don't know if you remember those guys. That's from the 70s, man. I remember we went to church and come home and they would have that on.
Okay.
For some reason, it was on like Sunday afternoons. Like they'd have that on some channel way back in like the mid 70s. But yeah, I remembered all of that. I watched some of that.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, how about movies? You like horror movies, sci-fi? What kind of movies?
Yeah.
You like?
Well, it's funny. I've always been into like, I like, science fiction stuff. I love mafia movies. Like The Godfather's my favorite.
All right.
Godfather 1 and 2 are awesome. Love Goodfellas.
Fuck yeah.
And then if you're into those movies, the Gotti movie that was made for HBO in like the mid 90s with Armand Assante.
I remember him doing a version of Gotti. Yeah.
He was great in it. That's a great movie. Yeah, because they try to compress somebody's life down into like 2 hours or less.
Right.
So for it being that compressed, it was really well done. And Armand Assante was absolutely awesome in that movie. So I love that movie. I'm a big fan of like 80s movies, like those John Hughes movies. Love shit like The Breakfast Club and Ferris Bueller. Love all those movies.
Fun, dude. Yes.
And then like those cool movies like Escape from New York.
Oh yeah.
Love that.
Yes.
But yeah, and of course the original Star Wars trilogy. Love that. Love the Rocky movies. Right.
So much great stuff, man.
Great. Oh,
we love the 80s, and there's some great shit that came out of the 90s too. And it's what we grew up around. The age of cable television came in when we were growing up. Shit.
And one of my all-time favorites. This is Spinal Tap.
That's right.
Yeah.
This fucking 11.
Yeah.
That's right.
This one goes to 11. Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, and the funny thing is, I've met some people who are our age, and they like some heavier music, and they've never seen it. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
You've never seen This is Spinal Tap? I mean, if you're into heavy music, you like rock. I mean, that's the
most hilarious movie ever. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, my daughter just turned 21 a few months ago, and we brought her up on all the 80s stuff. And she loves Spinal Tap. She thinks that's the best. She loves those John Hughes movies. She loves Star Wars. She loves all that stuff. And the funny thing is, my wife and my daughter are big time horror fans. So
horror. Cool.
So they love the horror. So like when Halloween rolls around, the house is all decorated, all of that. Yeah. So and it's funny because I was never like the biggest horror fan, but now I really enjoy it. I really like it. I love all those, Friday the 13th movies. Yeah. Loved Hellraiser. I thought I don't know if you remember the one movie I did enjoy, and I was like 11 when I saw this, and I watched on HBO way back then, was My Bloody Valentine, the original.
My Bloody Valentine, the guy with the mask,
The gas mask.
with the axe.
Yeah, yeah,
Harry something, I think his name
yeah,
was.
yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Exactly.
That was a good one, dude. Yeah.
Yeah,
They had that little rolling cart they ride down there, and before you know it, they get split up. People come up
yeah.
missing. Dude, that was a
Oh
good one, all
yeah,
right.
yeah.
That was a
Love
good
that.
one.
Yeah, that was great. So yeah. I like a bit of a variety. I don't like rom-coms. I hate rom-coms. I won't watch those.
Yeah.
You know, I can't stand those. And luckily, I have a wife who doesn't like them either. So I'm lucky. I'm lucky that way. Yeah. I
Yeah.
like a good comedy. You know, like I love like Eddie Murphy. You know, all those
Yes,
like
fuck
48
yeah.
Hours and Beverly Hills
Oh,
Cop and
48 hours.
Trading Places. You know, Eddie Murphy
Yeah.
was the man. I mean, you know, he's like my favorite. Like you talk about all the time Saturday Night Live guys. Like he's my top guy.
Fuck
You
yeah.
know, Eddie
I don't
Murphy. So he
fuck
was great
yes.
growing up with him. You know, I like that kind of stuff. I like so anything from like those mafia movies to horror to Hughes movies, sci-fi,
Yeah.
Star Wars. You know, love all that stuff.
I love you brought up all those great names right there, man. We love them. I gotta give a shout out to somebody I seen on Facebook who's having a tough time. Who we've seen many movies of that we love. Bruce Willis.
Oh yeah.
Going through a tough time, man. He's one of those badasses, dude. And
Oh
we've never
yeah.
seen a badass go through anything like that. We've never seen Arnold, Sylvester Stallone.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
The
you
list
bring
goes
up Arnold
on.
too. You know, I loved all those Arnold movies,
Yeah,
Commando
man.
and Total Recall. I mean, all those Arnold movies are great, man. I love all those
So
movies. And
great.
Bruce was so awesome in Pulp Fiction. That is
Right,
also
dude.
one of my favorite movies.
Right.
Pulp Fiction is absolutely amazing. Yeah, I mean, all of that. That's just a stellar flick. I mean, it holds up. That thing's never gonna, not be cool.
Right. Whenever it's on, hey, you leave it on there. That's a good one. I like this part. I like the way that was one of those movies where you didn't know where the beginning was at first until as you watch the ending, it's like, okay, now it's coming back around. Now they're
Yeah,
back in the diner again.
yeah,
Okay, it's coming full circle.
yeah,
But yes, dude. Damn,
yeah.
Carl, we got
Very
so
cool.
much in common, dude. We got a lot of
Absolutely.
the same flavors that we like.
Well,
But
and
I
we're the
tell you
same
what,
age, so
I
you
know,
know.
right? So it's no wonder we're
Yeah,
metalheads, and so much that was in our circle of friends, of the different things we liked, whether it's fucking wrestling or horror movies or fucking sports, something
yeah,
we've got so much in common. So I want to
absolutely.
wrap things up for tonight with the segment I call Draw the Line. All right. So I'm going to
Okay.
give you a couple of bands and say they're playing in your hometown, but you can only be one place at one time. Who's going to get you in attendance out there?
All right.
So let's start off with this first pair. Who are you going to go see if Overkill and Anthrax come to town? Overkill versus Anthrax.
Probably Anthrax.
Probably Anthrax. Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
And just to hear, the old stuff.
Yeah, some Spreading the Disease. Fuck yeah, some Among the Living in there.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Death
All
Rider.
right, kick ass. And we love some Overkill. What was your favorite Overkill release? What album?
I did like Taking Over. Taking Over was very cool, and
That
that
was
kind of
fucking
holds a
super
special place.
catchy. I love
Yeah.
the Wrecking Crew. Fuck
Yeah.
yeah. There's so much good shit on
Absolutely.
the Taking Over. And the album cover, with the guns and stuff, it was I can't get to the point where I put myself on my album cover. You know
Dude,
what
I'm
I
so
mean?
with you. That was like Exodus. They kept fucking up and putting themselves on the album cover
How
for so
funny I
long.
thought that was.
And,
Yes. I was like, what?
and I think they've even admitted that. I think Gary Holtz even admitted that
He
was
did.
kind of crazy. I mean, like, you're not a country guy,
Right. No shit. And metalheads, we always love a fucking badass looking album.
Well, hey, speaking of Exodus and album covers, the guy who did Persona non grata, Exodus's last album cover, he did my cover for The Devil's Door.
No shit.
Yeah.
Badass.
Yeah, his
All
name's Carl
right.
Olofsson.
Very cool. So you reached out for him?
Yeah.
Very cool. Way to make it happen there. Yes.
Try my best, man. And I've got a friend of mine named Adam who did the layout for the CD, and he did a fantastic job with. He only had just the cover,
Yeah.
and he made the layout very, very cool. So I'm very happy to have had him work on it and get
Fuck
him to do it. So
yes.
that was really cool because he's done some other stuff over the years. Matter of fact, I believe that he helped out and did the Brutal Truth cover for Sounds of the Animal Kingdom. It's got
Oh,
the.
that one. That's cool with the
I
ape.
believe he did. I could be wrong, but I believe he did. I'm not. I believe so because he worked for Relapse for a brief time there in the '90s, and
Very cool.
yeah, but he's very talented. So I was lucky in that regard. So all of this just kind of came together, and I was lucky to have everybody from Scott and all the guys who played on it, Juan, Adam, and then getting Par Olofsson because I talked to a couple of people like speaking of Overkill, they used Travis Smith for their album covers quite a bit, and I
Yeah.
contacted him, and he was super cool. But he was like, your concept of what you want is not really what I do, so I can't
Okay.
really. I don't think I can help you out with that. So I thought, okay,
All
that's
right.
cool. And I tried a couple other people, and finally I reached out to Par, and Par was open to it. And he said that he didn't have time, and this was back in the summer. But then he goes, I'll probably, in September, I'll have some time. And he contacted me. So I thought, okay, here we go. It's
No
awesome.
shit. Hell
Yeah.
yes. Made it happen.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Let's move on to our next one. How about Machine Head versus Testament?
Ooh. Well, wow. That's a tough one.
Yeah. Right. Good. I want to stump you on these.
I probably would go Testament on that one
All right.
because I have not seen Testament in forever.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
I admire how consistent Chuck has been.
Fuck yeah.
Singers over the years, it's hard to keep your game up here, and it's hard to even keep your voice sounding the same, doing the same things.
Yeah.
And I think Chuck, for doing it since as long as he's been doing it, go back and listen to the Legacy, and go back and listen to Titans of Creation. And you're thinking, no, here's a guy that was probably at the time like 21 or 20 or however old he was when he recorded the Legacy, right? Maybe older than that. I don't know. But in his early 20s at most.
Yes.
And now here he is. He's probably what, 60?
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And Titans of Creation, he sounds just as good.
Fuck yeah, right.
And the live clips that I've seen of them, he's been great. Now, Rob Flynn is also pretty consistent too, and super talented. And I think the reason that I'd go to see Testament over them is because I haven't seen Testament in forever, and they've got more of the they've got the three original guys and Steve DiGiorgio.
That's right.
Right. Mm-hmm. So I just feel I would be pulled to go see Testament.
Heard. Excellent. I like that. Okay, next to Nuclear Assault versus Sacred Reich.
Oh, Nuclear Assault.
Oh, okay. That was an easy one for you. All right.
Yeah, it was easy because I loved Survive.
Yeah.
Survive was great. And I like Handle with Care, and just, I've never seen Nuclear Assault.
Oh, okay.
So,
all right.
For some reason, I don't know why that was a band that I just never got around to singing that because I don't remember them coming out to California very often. I really can't remember them being on a package or even doing a headlining tour or anything. I just don't remember that because had they come around those times, I'd have gone because when Survive came out, I listened to the hell out of that. So, Nuclear Assault would be the one.
I actually got to catch and I hung out with Dan Looker on the Handle with Care tour when they came to Corpus. They had Mordred. Nice. Remember Mordred?
Another Bay Area band.
Fuck yeah, they were on tour with them, and I don't even remember the first band, but it was Mordred came on right before Nuclear Assault, and that Handle with Care was a fucking basher. And Dan Looker was just super fucking cool. He's walking through the crowd, and Dan Looker stands out like a fucking sore thumb. If you ever, anybody knows Dan a mile away, Dan's come by and said, "Hey, Dan, you want to burn?" "Yeah, man, let's go. Come on." We took him back to we hung out in the bus in the back until it was time for him to go jam. And then he went and did his thing, man. But Handle with Care, great fucking choice.
Yep.
Nuclear Assault all day. But Sacred Reich, you had to catch them.
I liked Sacred Reich's first album.
Yes. Ignorance.
Ignorance was great. I really enjoyed it at the time. But after that, just their stuff just didn't resonate with me after that.
Gotcha.
I thought the American Way was kind of okay, but it just didn't do it for me at that point. You know what I mean? But I did really like Ignorance when it came out. I thought it was good.
Got you. Hell yes. All right. How about Exodus versus Creator?
I'd have to see Creator.
Fuck yeah. And
I'd have to see Creator because I was
on tour nowadays.
I love it's just right. They did play together.
Fuck yeah.
I really was so into Creator. I was big time into Creator. I mean, I loved like their first 4 albums. Like, still listen. You got bands that you like, right? And bands that have been around for a long time. And you got the ones that, like, for me, Slayer. I like listen to Slayer, quite a bit. I listened to the first like 4 Metallica albums, still.
Yeah.
Still listen to, like Death Angel's first album and, Bonded by Blood and Seven Churches and things like that. I listen to all those classical things, albums, right? But in Creator, for that, I still listen to Pleasure to Kill on a regular basis because it just takes me back and it brings me to the right place, the right time, and it just got that grit and that feel to it, man. And I love it. I just love
speed,
that album.
That thrash speed. It's got a little edge compared to some of the other thrash bands that were out there. Just a little
it was just so good.
Love like how Igor brought it whenever he jumped on the scene with Beneath the Remains. Like, what the fuck?
Oh yeah.
Fuck. And like Mike Smith, that you got guys that are just fucking hitting hard and they got a little bit more edge than some of the other guys that have been kicking ass as well.
Yeah, and I like watching drummers because I just think that a good drummer is amazing. Especially live in a live setting, and when you get like a front row seat or you're like on stage just watching like a really good drummer, it's cool, man. It's awesome. It's like, well, you think of Machine Head, like when Dave McClain was in the band. I mean, I really was impressed by Dave McClain. Not to say that he was doing anything different, but he was solid. And he did do some things that I thought were pretty interesting. Like, I want to say on Through the Ashes of Empires, that album.
Yes. Fuck, that's a bad one right there.
And the song Left is it called Left Undone or Left it's the one about Rob talking about being adopted.
Yes. Okay.
So he plays a beat where it's like 3 bass drums in a row, 3 snares in a row. So it's like do bat 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 do bat bat bat. Yeah. And I'm thinking, listen to the song the first time and go, all right, this is cool. I like this. This is great. And I keep listening to it. And then I stopped at one point and I was like, wait a minute. He's doing probably the most simplest thing you can possibly do, right? As a drum beat. It's boom, 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 pat, pat, pat. It's like, holy shit, that's genius, right? I mean, because it's still heavy as hell, and it works. And the better part of it is, I didn't even notice it at first. I was just like, this is heavy, this is cool. I dig this song. I get it. That it resonates with me. It's great. And that's the thing I love about music in general is that the more that you listen to things, sometimes you'll hear little things or pick out things that you didn't hear before.
Right.
And that's one thing that really I love about it. So like when I go back and I listen, like that happened to me recently. I can't, recall it off the top of my head, but I'll listen to something I've been listening to for years, or even something that I haven't listened to for like say 5 years, and I pick it up and listen, and I hear something different. I'm like, man, this is great, and you almost get a whole different level of appreciation for that album.
Right.
Yeah. So that's the beauty of music for me, man.
Yes, I love it. I got 2 more for you. Okay. Obituary versus Entombed.
All right. If Entombed has Nikki on drums, it's Entombed.
All right. Okay. All right. I'll give you that.
Because Nikki, even though he's just been doing guitar, with Helicopters and what is it? Empire State Electric, I think it was.
Yeah.
All of that, all of the stuff he does on guitar, that guy was a great drummer. And not because like he was the best drummer, but that whole death and roll
yes
style That's
Yeah.
Nicky, man. The way he played drums and the way he's a left-handed drummer who just sat on a set and took a hi-hat and the floor toms and swapped them.
That's it. Yeah.
So he's playing
Dude.
left-handed, right? But instead
Yeah.
of going left-handed, he's playing like this and going around here and then hitting back over on the toms. And to watch that guy play and be
That's fucking crazy.
have
Yeah.
that much groove for something that heavy,
Yeah.
and that brutal, to me, that was amazing because I absolutely love the
is.
first 3 Entombed albums. The first 3 Entombed albums for me, like when I loved
Clandestine.
Left Hand
Yeah.
Path, but when Clandestine came out, that was awesome, and we got to play with them on that, and when they came out, and so I was stoked on that, and then of course when Wolverine Blues came out, I was super into that.
Yeah, they kind of changed the style a little bit there.
Yeah. Yeah, and then they did the next album, which a lot of people really loved, and I like that album, but for some reason the first 3 just really do it for me, really do it for me. So if of course if LG was with us,
rest in peace,
there
LG.
would be no doubt it would be Entombed. But I just saw Obituary like a year ago with Carcass
and Hatebreed,
and no, it was
oh, okay, my bad.
It was good Lord, Amon Amarth. I'm wearing the damn shirt.
Oh shit, that's right. Amon Amarth was headlining.
It was Amon Amarth, Carcass, Obituary, and I think it was Cattle Decapitation.
Okay, all right.
And I went with some friends, and we got there like during Cattle Decapitation, and we were buying some shirts and stuff, and then walked right in for Obituary. They were playing Redneck Stomp. And so for me, I was in heaven because I got to see Obituary, whom I haven't seen in forever, and I got to see Carcass again, who I don't think I'd seen them since they played the Omni with Napalm Death back in like 92 or something like that. Yeah. And it was great because Obituary crushed it. They're nice and tight, sounded great. And then Carcass came on again, tight, awesome. They sounded great. And then Amon Amarth came on and crushed it. So that was the best show I've seen in the last 20 years as far as metal's concerned.
Fuck yeah.
That was a great show, man. That was a great show.
I missed that one. They didn't come to Corpus. They went to San Antonio, but it was like during the week. And I can't do the out of town during the week gigs, man. It's too much for me now. You know, when I was 20, 30.
I'm with you.
You know what I mean, right?
Oh, I'm with you. I mean, when I was Oh, well, it used to be that like I used to go see shows in my 20s, like on a Wednesday night or Thursday night and come home at like 2 or 3 a.m. And I had to be to work at 7 a.m.
Yeah. That didn't stop you though.
It didn't stop me. I mean, there were a couple times where I went to bed at 6:30 the next evening, but it didn't stop me. No. Yeah.
Yes.
So much good stuff.
Shit.
But I want to see. I went to see them, and they played out here at the Hard Rock, and that was a great show, man. That was a really good show.
Fuck. Thinking about, I'm going to backtrack just a moment real quick. You saw Sepultura on Beneath the Remains. Was it also with Obituary, Cause of Death opening up for him?
No, I believe it was Faith or Fear.
Faith or Fear was on that leg. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because here in Corpus, here when they were doing Texas, my buddies in Devastation were on Idolatry. And Dave Lozano, the drummer, me and him graduated. Mm-hmm. So I went down to the Valley to go catch them opening up for Obituary and Sepultura on that tour because Devil was going to be the opening act.
You know, I forget which show it was, but Devastation played at the Omni, and and it was a touring thing. I think maybe it was one of those times when Death came around. Maybe we weren't playing.
They toured with Death. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it was Death and Devastation. Pretty funny. Death and Devastation.
Right.
And I talked to what's the guitar player's name?
You got Henry. You got Dave Burke.
Dave Burke. It was Dave Burke. I hung out with Dave, and he was a super cool cat. You know, he was a cool guy. We hung out and just bullshitted. He was really cool dude. So that was also one of those cool things. You just get to meet people you never met before. In a band that I like that Devastation album, Signs of Life.
That's
Is
a
that the
good
one?
one. Fuck yes.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, that was a good album. So yeah, I know what you mean, man. He was a cool cat. Meeting people like that is just great, dude.
Yeah. Unfortunately, rest in peace. Dave's passed on just last year, boss.
Oh,
Last
really?
year. Oh, dude, I
Oh
know.
man, I'm
It
sorry to
was
hear that.
we got together. We had like a reunion forum here in town. Had a lot of family came out, and we had some bands play. We had a lot of friends come up and speak about being with Dave, and had the old band members. Rodney was there, their singer.
Yeah.
Edward, their bass player, came out. The drummer Louis from Signs of Life was out there. Just a great event, man. But it was just so rough because not many, at the same time, I want to say not many of us have moved on as far as passed on.
Yeah.
But on the second note, quite a few of us have. But in the musician world, with the guys that we've grown up listening to and loving, we've lost a lot of greats. But each one still hurts. Each one still fucking hurts. And
Totally.
For us in here in Corpus, when Dave Burke passed on, it was just kind of it hit us hard because we hadn't had anybody from Deva, or the other big name here was Anchor Watt. So I'm glad to say all these guys are still alive and kicking
Grossman.
ass. But Dave, man, what a loss to just as a great person, as a great friend, a great band member. So rest in peace, Dave. I just had to give him some props since he came up in the conversation.
Yeah, rest in peace, man. That sucks. But you said Anchor Watt, Dave, Adam Grossman, right?
Adam Grossman from Screw. That's right.
Yeah, I love the first Screw album. The first Screw album,
that Burning
in Water, Drowning in Flame. I love that album. That's a great fucking album. And when they came out here, I forget where it was, but I hung out with Adam, and he was super cool. He was a super cool dude. I want to say they played one of the smaller clubs out here, and being that they were on Metal Blade too.
Yeah.
That's how I got to hang out with him and stuff. Didn't really keep in touch. Again, much easier now that we have like email and texting and all that. But back then you had to get out a pen and paper. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, but yeah, Adam was super cool. Good guy. And like I said, I love that first Screw record.
Yeah.
I played the shit out of that record.
Yeah, big time. And Screw, what was funny is also thinking about Screw, Snake, who was a guitar player, ended up jamming with our guy Scott in Skin Lab.
Yeah.
Funny how it's a huge world, huge metal world, but sooner or later, sometimes our paths start crossing and we get some real fucking magic created again.
Yeah.
I got one more for you before I let you go.
All
now,
right.
This one is going to be Slayer versus Sepultura.
Oh, well, I mean, again, these are, if you're talking Sepultura today and Slayer today, it's Slayer.
Right. Okay, all right.
If you're talking Slayer of the 80s and Sepultura of the 80s, it's still Slayer. Sorry, as much as I love Sepultura of the 80s, I do. It's like Lombardo and Hanneman.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Slayer really, Slayer's been a huge influence on me. They were a huge influence on Epidemic. Epidemic was named after the song on Rain of Blood. So like Frostbite is definitely super Slayer influenced.
Awesome.
Riffing wise, it's but it's got a little of everything from, my influences are a little bit of everything. Like on these 4 songs, you'll hear some Slayer, you'll hear a little Obituary, you'll hear a little Metallica, maybe like old school, like, Metallica. You'll hear some Sepultura, maybe on here. It's interesting what people, how people, interpret songs, right?
Yeah.
I heard like Scott actually had played, like when we were just getting Frostbite done. There's a break part in the midsection, and he played that for Billy Milano. And Billy Milano said it sounded like Cynic. And I was like, what? Like, holy crap. I mean, those guys actually know how to play instruments, and I don't.
Yeah, those guys are bad.
Not only do they know how to play, they're very good.
Compliment.
So I was like, that's interesting. I mean, I don't see it personally, But that again, that's the beauty of music, right? Everybody gets something
Yeah.
different out of it, and they hear something different. So, so yeah, but yeah, Slayer all day, every day,
All day, every day.
especially
I love
classic
it.
Slayer,
Fuck
because
yes.
Tom was like a huge influence on me. Like if you listen to Epidemic's very first demo, I sound like a mixture of Hetfield and Araya.
I would agree with that. Yeah, man. You
I mean
sounded
that.
ferocious, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I joined the band at 17, and you know, so I was just doing my thing at the time. And Hetfield was my hero. Araya was also my hero.
Yeah.
I mean, so on all that fast shit, it's Tom Araya chant style. Like old school, not his shouting style that he started doing. After the
Right.
first like starting on kind of a little bit on Divine Intervention.
Yep. Uh-huh.
More of that chanting, hell awaits. Like my buddy, a friend of mine I was friends with in high school. We would listen to Necrophiliac, and we would
Yes.
sing together. We would sing the words because we loved that song. We loved the way that like Araya chanted, the way his
Yeah.
delivery, the way he could make shit sound so evil, but yet so
Yeah.
fucking cool. Just it was, Tom Araya is the man, and I still think he's to this day I still think he's just super cool, man. Just because of he's his own person. There's a
Yes,
lot
he
of people
is.
that aren't their own person.
Yeah.
Even these famous guys, even these guys who are very successful and do their own thing. But he is like one of those guys that has always been his own person, and he's done his thing. And I really like that about him. And he's just kind of got like this. I don't know. He seems to be a bit laid back, but he's kind of mysterious at the same time. If you know what I mean.
I do know what you mean. Yes, bro.
And he's always smiling and laughing, kind of like
Yeah.
you, and he's having a good time, but he's got this like mystery about him, He was cool, man. On stage, like, great front man. Again, I think back to Rain and Blood,
Oh, yes.
and the stuff he would say between songs, and then they would just go into something. And I remember when they played Necrophiliac during that Rain and Blood show at the Stone. I mean, I lost my mind, man. I was thrashing like big time, just going nuts.
For Rain and Blood, you had Show No Mercy, Hell Awaits, and Rain and Blood. Oh my, there's no song in any of those three albums that you would go to the restroom, go to anywhere.
No.
You fucking were there. Goddamn. And I'm not saying no disrespect to anything after that, but
of course,
to that point, Rain and Blood, oh fuck, every fucking song. But I like how you mentioned Necrophiliac. I love everything they did in Hell Awaits. We just seen they upped the scale of evilness. We did this and Show No Mercy. We're gonna fucking show you what fucking evil is.
Yeah,
and I love it. Dawn They Sleep, the riffage, the lyrics, all that shit. But Crypts of Eternity is one of the songs that kind of stands out in my mind. And I love all the drums that went to it, the guitar parts, the way he sings it. And that's one of my standout songs right there. And for a 7-song album, they got away with murder for 7 songs.
Yeah. Oh, they did. But I mean, look at the song Hell Awaits. That whole intro.
Yeah.
Intro and build up. It just sounds evil and wicked. And yet it just builds up and it builds up. And, and then to where it just hits you in the face with that fast part comes in. And it's like, damn. I mean, so
there goes the mosh pit. Yeah.
I mean, the thing that's kind of funny I will say Rain and Blood is my favorite Slayer album. But at the time when Rain and Blood came out, as much as I liked it, I still liked Hell Awaits more at that time.
Yes.
Because I was just, that album just did it for me. I loved Rain and Blood like everybody else did. But I still, at that time was just like, man, Hell Awaits.
And you know what? And I think because when Hell Awaits, when it was out, we had more time to saturate it. There wasn't as many metal bands as there was by the time Rain and Blood hit. So there was more things to distract us, besides just Slayer. There was all these other bands that were coming out, Destruction, Creator, and you had all these other heavy hitters that were hitting the market. But in Hell Awaits, there was like a time there within a couple of years where that was the Slayer album. You had Ride the Lightning going on over here. Masters was just about to drop. But for all of us that needed something heavier than Metallica, Slayer was the go-to. And everything from the lyrics to the album cover to every fucking riff was paradise to our ears when it came to fucking metal. That was the shit. And so when Rain and Blood came in, I know what you mean. It's like, I love Rain and Blood, but I still was so into just everything Hell Awaits was about.
Oh
They
yeah,
could have just played that from beginning to end, and I would have been fucking. It
I
couldn't
would
have
have
got
been
any
happy.
better.
Yeah.
Couldn't have got
Oh
any
god.
better.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just that time too, because that was also, Kerry still had his hair.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, right. Yeah, he
they were
sure
all
did.
young still, is the point, right?
Yeah,
I mean, Tom was the oldest, and at that time he was like what, 24, 25 or something like
sure.
that. And they were just so good. They were so on the mark. I mean, just that youthful exuberance combined with
Yes.
that attitude and that evilness. It was.
Oh,
I mean, that
the
was,
same shit
you
that
can't.
you guys brought in
Oh, thank
Epidemic
you.
right
But
there, man. Because you
and we
guys
were no
brought it,
Slayer,
you
but
felt it, you ate it, and you wanted a piece of that fucking Slayer cake that they were getting. And if
yeah.
only
Well,
there was enough cake left after Metallica got it, you know what I mean? Because shit, there wasn't enough room for everybody at the top.
that's true.
Everything kind of. Yeah, I think okay. You got Metallica, it had to be Slayer. Then you got Megadeth, and you got Anthrax, and you got so much love between Exodus and Testament and Creator and Overkill. Kind of get in the mix. Kind of just depends
Yeah.
on your flavor, on who's going to
Yeah.
be ranking where on there.
Yeah.
But I tell you, Carl, we've been able to fucking cover so much fucking music history tonight.
Oh God. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But the best thing about getting this together tonight was letting people know that we got Bleeding Edge getting ready to hit
Yeah.
things
And thank
within a
you
matter of
for
hours.
having
And
me.
it's
I
going to be
appreciate it.
fucking very exciting, man. So one more time, let's go through the lineup. We got yourself on vocals. We got Lennon on drums from Insight. We've also got Costa from Hatred. We've got the man Scott Sargent, who part of the partnership to get this bad boy together with you on guitars, and we
bass.
also got our man Kevy throwing
Kevy
leads on
Rojas.
that bad
Yep.
boy. Fuck yeah! And
Yeah.
of course, Scott also did bass, so that
Yep.
takes care of the bass duties right there too. So we got heavy hitters. It's an all-star band right here, guys. So you need to check out some Bleeding Edge. To my guys that have been checking us out on the podcast throughout the night, thanks so much for your patience. Thanks for tuning in tonight. But please be sure to go to the Instagram for Bleeding Edge, for the Facebook for Bleeding Edge. Get your pre-order copy of the EP. It's going to be available within the next couple of hours.
Yep.
And they can get that through, did you say Bandcamp?
Bandcamp, yeah. So you can just go to bleedingedgemetal.com. It'll take you right to the Bandcamp site.
Okay.
And that's bleedingedgemetal.bandcamp.com. So I'm just making it easier for you to just go bleedingedgemetal.com. And it'll just redirect you right to Bandcamp, because I don't have time to make a website or pay somebody, because I've already been paid for more important things like physical CDs and, getting things recorded, right?
Well, I'm going to want to get my copy, whether I got to go through them or go straight through you. I want to definitely get a copy of that. And golly, man, I know we're not going to be doing any touring on that, but God willing, I hope that this thing becomes successful enough where you do get to zero. All right. There's no in the red. So that way, God willing, we can get a second release.
I would
more
do that.
Fucking magic, dude.
I would do that again for sure. If I can, even if that doesn't happen, even if I don't end up at zero, if I can actually get, some more funds along the way, maybe find some like bonus at work or something like that,
sure,
and try to do it again, but I the good part was getting back in the game a little bit, kind of learned how things went, know kind of more about how much things cost and how things go. But I think things will be a little more efficient, just because I'll know better of what I'm doing, and also when I was writing these songs, I would send them to Scott as mostly finished, but I may not have all the lyrics. I might have, a verse and a chorus or something like that. But I think if I were to do this again, I would really sit with them a little longer and refine them even a little bit more. So that way they're more of a finished product, which will make it easier, to get other sections of it done, like get the guitars done, the drums done, that kind of thing.
Yes. Cool.
And give me some time, so I know a little bit better how the process works, and how much things cost. And so, but it's been a great experience. And again, like I said, I've been very fortunate to have all the guys on there, to have Scott to help me out with that, and all the people that have been involved. So I'm very grateful for that. And I really hope that, people who hear it enjoy it. and understand, where I'm coming from is, musically speaking, with that old school vibe, but kind of trying to be a little more modern, but really keeping it old school.
Yes. And speaking from guys my age, we want more of stuff like that. We want to feel that old school stuff coming back with that modern feel, with some of that modern sound. And I luckily I've just got a ton of friends that are going to be digging your stuff, and I know they will. I'm going to be posting it on my stuff so that way I can get the word out and
I appreciate that.
Get the music out there, man. I'm really excited about Frostbite. It's going to be killer, dude. I know it
Right
is
on.
because I know you. I know you as a vocalist. It's only going to come out fucking thrashing, dude. Thrashing.
It's very
anguish.
thrashing. Yeah,
I know it, bud.
It is. So I hope you dig it. And I want to thank you for having me on and taking time out for me. I really do appreciate that. That helps out a lot and helps me with promotion and getting the word out. So thanks. I really can't tell you how much I appreciate it. And it's great to meet you, Tony.
And it's been a pleasure. The honor's all mine. I appreciate you spending some couple of hours or almost 3 hours with me tonight, man. That means so much to me, Carl. Hell
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, if you're ever out here, you got to ring me up and we'll eat together. We'll eat and have a few cervezas.
Yes, bro. Oh, I love the invitation. You are a man, dude. Class act, dude. Thank you so much, Carl. Hell yeah. Best of wishes to you, to Bleeding Edge.
Thank you.
You and your family. I want to miss the best of you guys. I hope to talk to you soon. I'll keep in touch. And
Absolutely.
I'll be looking forward to hearing the music here real soon and putting the word out.
All right. Thanks, Tony.
All right, bud. Talk to you later, Carl. God bless. Keep
Bye-bye.
it metal forever, brother. Later.